You probably know that feeling. Opening your LinkedIn to see another friend landing a six-figure tech job while you're stuck in a career that's going nowhere. Figuring out how many years it would take at your current salary to afford a home. Or that knot in your stomach every time your company mentions AI automation in the weekly meeting. I still remember sitting at my kitchen table at midnight, bills spread out, trying to figure out how to make it all work. The mortgage, the car payment, the college debt, all on a teacher's salary that wasn't keeping up with inflation. My name is Phil. I'm a $300,000 a year software developer building a startup, and my goal with this video is to give you the no BS advice I wish younger me had when breaking into tech. I'm going to show you exactly what I would do to break into tech and land a $100,000 plus job in 6 months or less starting from scratch. For context, just 7 years ago, I was a 30-year-old English teacher for kids. No tech background, no computer science degree, just a guy who felt stuck watching the digital economy leave him behind. I still remember sitting in my tiny apartment calculating how long it would take to save enough for a down payment on a house at my teacher's salary. The answer? 15 years. I told myself, screw that, and made the decision to break into tech, but not by following the conventional path. I tried boot camps, I tried YouTube tutorials, I tried everything that people say you should do. Most of it was a waste of time and money. But through that process, I discovered a proven 6-month roadmap for breaking into tech. One that took me from an English teacher to a $300,000 a year senior developer, and has helped hundreds of others land their first roles in the industry too. Before I dive in, I want to be completely transparent with you. What I'm about to share is what I genuinely believe is the most effective path to breaking into tech in 6 months or less. It's the exact approach I'd take if I had to start over today. And it's helped hundreds of my mentees land tech roles in record time. But I also need to be clear. There are no guarantees in life except death, taxes, and the job market getting more competitive each year. I can't promise you will have the same result in the same time frame. Anyone who makes such promises is selling you a fantasy. What I can promise is that this strategy will give you the highest probability of success in the shortest amount of time. It's designed to make you stand out in an increasingly crowded market by focusing on what actually matters to employers. So with that said, let's get into exactly what I would do to break into tech in 6 months or less if I were starting from scratch today. Here's the first thing I realized. The traditional advice is dead wrong. Everyone says you need to get a CS degree, complete a bootcamp, master multiple languages before applying. This is exactly why most people fail. They're following a broken playbook. But here's the reality. Most of us don't have the luxury of time. I talk to people every day who are feeling the pressure. The parent who just got hit with an unexpected medical bills, the professional watching their industry shrink with each round of layoffs, the 30-something who realizes they won't be able to afford a home for 15 plus years on their current salary. You probably don't even have 12 months before financial pressure, family obligations, or industry shifts force your hand. If I were starting today, I'd do the exact opposite of the conventional wisdom. I'd focus on building one real project that showcases problem-solving skills, not just coding ability. Why? Because in 2025, companies aren't looking for people who can follow tutorials. They're desperate for people who can solve actual business problems. And here's what's crazy. This approach doesn't just work faster, it makes you AI-proof in a world where basic coding skills are being automated daily. So if I had 6 months to break into tech from scratch, here's my exact roadmap. Weeks 1 to 2. Choosing one problem-solving project. If I were starting from zero today, I wouldn't waste time on random tutorials or coding challenges. In the first 2 weeks, I'd identify one real problem worth solving and commit to building as my portfolio project. I wouldn't overthink this step or let it drag on. I'd give myself a strict 2-week deadline to decide, because what matters more is getting started. The project can evolve as I build it. This is crucial because thousands of bootcamp grads are all creating the same to-do list and weather apps. They look identical and scream tutorial follower. Instead, I'd build something that showcases problem-solving ability, not just coding skills. For example, Booty, a university student from the UK I mentored, built a financial tracking app because he needed to track his expenses in college. Or Mustafa, he built a diabetes tracking app because he had diabetes and he needed to know what foods he can eat for the times he had. The key is picking something you genuinely care about. When you're building something meaningful, you naturally push through the inevitable challenges. Weeks 3 through 16. Build while learning. With my project selected, I'd immediately begin building while learning, not after learning. First, I'd focus on how to learn effectively, which would save me hundreds of hours. Use the Pomodoro technique, 25-minute focus sessions with 5-minute breaks. Practice active recall instead of passive rereading. Implement spaced repetition for key concepts. Teach what I learned to deepen understanding. Find an accountability partner or coach for this. These evidence-based learning techniques would cut my learning time in half compared to the typical approach. For my learning strategy, I'd take a completely different approach than most people. Instead of spending months on programming fundamentals before building anything real, I'd sketch out exactly what my app would do, break it into manageable components, and learn precisely what I need to build each piece, then implement immediately. For example, if I were building a fitness tracking app, I'd start by mapping the user experience and data flow. Then I'd learn exactly what I needed to create each component, from user authentication to data visualization. This approach would force me to make real decisions that develop problem-solving muscles. How should I structure this database to scale efficiently? What's the most intuitive user flow for this feature? How do I optimize performance? The advantage? I'd develop the exact skills that make me valuable to employers and immune to AI replacement. The ability to solve novel problems, not just follow instructions. Weeks 8 to 20, build in public. Starting around week 8, once I have something minimal to show, I'd begin documenting my journey in public. This means sharing progress updates, challenges, and breakthroughs on GitHub, LinkedIn, and Twitter weekly. Why would this be non-negotiable in my 6-month plan? 3 reasons. First, it would force me to articulate my thinking, deepening my understanding of what I'm building. Second, it would create accountability and momentum when motivation inevitably dips. And third, this is crucial, it would build my reputation as a problem solver before I ever apply for a job. Shay, a 40-year-old dad with zero tech background I mentored, landed his first development role working with the former CMO of IKEA simply by sharing his learning journey consistently. By week 16, I'd have a growing audience following my project's development, creating opportunities before I even start job hunting, and worst case scenario, if no one is seeing your updates, you'd have established a clear timeline that hiring managers can view when you start your hiring process. Weeks 12 to 20, accelerate with guided mentorship. Around week 12, when I've made meaningful progress, but I'm hitting more complex challenges, I'd make my single most important investment, finding a mentor who has successfully made the exact transition I'm attempting. Now, if you're hesitating about finding a mentor because of the investment, ask yourself why top performers in every field, from athletics to business, all have coaches. They understand something most people don't. Success leaves clues. Your hesitation is actually proof you've been conditioned to think like an employee rather than an investor in your own future. This isn't optional if you're serious about the 6-month timeline. Let me explain why. The data is clear. People with mentors achieve their goals 4 times faster than those without. In tech specifically, a good mentor can literally compress years of learning into months. When I analyzed the journeys of everyone who successfully transitioned into tech within 6 months, there was one universal factor. They all had expert guidance. Here's why it's so powerful. Time compression. A good mentor helps you avoid the costly detours and rabbit holes that consume weeks or months. When you hit a roadblock that would normally take 3 days to solve, they'll help you break through in 30 minutes. Insider knowledge. They share the unwritten rules that no tutorial will teach you, like which technologies companies are actually hiring for versus what's just trending on Twitter. Accountability. Having someone who expects progress forces you to consistently push forward even when motivation dips. Psychological support. The biggest obstacle isn't technical. It's the voice in your head saying, maybe I'm not cut out for this. A mentor who's walked this path silences that voice. Think about it. If you were climbing Mount Everest, would you rather figure it out from YouTube videos or have an experienced Sherpa guide you step by step? Tech is no different. The right guidance can literally shave years off your learning curve and be the difference between landing a job in month 6 versus year 2. Without this component, I'd be severely handicapping my chances of success within the 6-month timeline. The way I like to think about it is time equals money. If you don't want to invest in yourself to speed your progress through a coach, then you'll be paying with time. In this case, since we want to save time, you're going to have to pay with money. Step 5, hack the hiring process. Now for the step that would make the biggest difference, mastering the actual hiring process. I'm about to give you some insider knowledge that most people charge hundreds for. First, understand that most companies use an ATS, applicant tracking system, to filter resumes before human ever sees them. These systems scan for keywords related to the job posting. Here's a hack I'd 100% use. Add relevant keywords in white text at the bottom of your resume. The ATS will see them, but human reviewers won't. For example, if the job posting mentions React, Node.js, and API integration, include all those exact terms in white text. This simple trick can get your resume past the initial filter when you might otherwise be rejected instantly. But I wouldn't stop there. After applying, I'd use tools like Apollo or Snove.io to find the hiring manager's email directly. Then I'd send them a personalized message. Hi, insert name. I just applied for the insert position role at insert company. I built insert your project that solves a specific problem using insert relevant tech. I'd love to show you how I could bring these problem solving skills to your team. This approach does two critical things. Creates multiple touch points, making you more visible in a sea of applicants. Demonstrates initiative, something 95% of candidates never show. And here's a technique I've never shared publicly. I record every interview and review them afterward. Top athletes always review game footage to improve. Tech interviews are no different. I'd analyze questions I'd struggled with, points where I rambled, opportunities I missed to highlight my problem solving in interviews. I wouldn't position myself as another junior developer, but as a solution to their specific business problem. Instead of saying, I know React, I'd say, I built a fitness tracking app that helps users maintain consistent workout habits. I made specific architectural decisions to optimize for mobile performance because my target users primarily access the app on phones during gym sessions. This demonstrates understanding not just how to code, but why certain technical decisions matter for the business. Now, you might be wondering if this 6-month roadmap actually works for regular people, especially those who are older or lack technical backgrounds. Let me show you what happens in month 6 when you follow this approach. Gabe was working in insurance with zero coding background. He tried the traditional path, YouTube tutorials, coding challenges, random projects, but could never build anything substantial. Within 90 days of implementing this exact roadmap, Gabe went from 0 callbacks to having multiple Fortune 500 companies competing for him. He ended up at American Express with $110,000 starting salary. Just think about that ROI. Even if he paid $10,000 for guidance, which he didn't, that's an 11x return in just 3 months. These aren't exceptional cases. They're the predictable results of a better approach. What these companies valued most wasn't coding skills. It was the problem-solving abilities and real-world perspective that come from building something meaningful. None of them competed on years of experience. They competed on their ability to identify and solve real problems. It's not about being a coding genius or having a prestigious degree. It's about having the right roadmap and following it consistently. So that's exactly what I would do if I had to break into tech in 6 months, starting from 0. Now, if you'd like to explore whether working with me directly might accelerate your transition and you want results like Gabe or Booty, I do offer a limited number of qualifications calls each month. I need to be upfront. I only accept 10 new mentees each month. This hard cap exists because I'm committed to providing genuine, hands-on guidance to the people I work with. During these qualification calls, we'll determine whether you have the commitment level needed to succeed. This isn't for dabblers. Assess if you're the right fit for my mentorship approach. Create your personalized 6-month roadmap if we decide to work together. These calls are completely free and designed to be valuable whether we end up working together or not, but they're limited by my schedule and the cap on new mentees. I want to be clear, this isn't for everyone. If you're looking for an overnight solution or a magic bullet, you can't commit at least 10 hours weekly to your transition, you're not willing to build something real that solves actual problems, you're expecting success without putting in the work, we're probably not a good match. Let me leave you with this. 6 months from now, you'll be in one of the two positions. You'll either be exactly where you are today, maybe still watching coding tutorials, feeling overwhelmed by options, and watching tech salaries continue to rise without you, or you'll be fielding multiple job offers, negotiating your starting salary, and planning what to do with your first $10,000 plus monthly paycheck. The difference isn't talent, age, or educational background. It's having a clear roadmap and the courage to follow it consistently. I've seen what happens when people wait. That mortgage doesn't get any smaller, those bills don't stop coming, and that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you have to tell your kid we can't afford it doesn't get easier. You don't need a CS degree. You don't need to be a math genius. You don't need to be in your 20s. You just need to start building something real that solves actual problems. And if I can do it, you can do it too. Coding saves lives.